Hello there. I'm Carl Shoemaker, business coach, and Jason Lyons with the Professional Search Network is joining me, and we're going to just have a bit of a chat. Jason, you're up. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Sure. Well, great to see you, Carl. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so geez, this is actually we're coming up. This past October is exactly 20 years we've been in business. Yeah, so I worked for two boutique firms, late 90s into early 2000s, and then two national firms. I had met my partner who was running the number one office for professional services division for Adecco, which is the largest staffing company in the world, globally headquartered out of Europe. And he was running the number one office in the U.S. out of Paramus, New Jersey. That's where I first met him. I was a young buck, early 20s, and doing working on the direct hire team. I was the youngest one on the team. They were bought out. The particular division was bought out. They had a management change, and he took that opportunity to leave the company. And I was the one person he brought along with him. We went to another company, which was a company called Remedy Staffing. They were a 32-year-old publicly traded company based out of California. Really didn't have a presence on the East Coast, and they brought Rich Scott as my partner, brought him in as the first hire here in New Jersey, and to build the New Jersey into New York market. And I was his first hire, so it was really the two of us starting off with the first presence in New Jersey. And in 2.5 years, we became the number one office in the country with almost 200 offices nationwide. So we ended up 2.5 years doing that. I became there was 600 recruiters. I became the top recruiter in the country. And in 4 years, at some point, we kind of looked at each other and said, "Well, you're running the number one office in the country. I'm the top recruiter in the country. Why are we working for the man, so to say?" And
Decided to become the man.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but we'd like to at least try to anyway, right? So,
Good.
uh, but yeah, we opened our doors in 2006 in October. I'm sorry, October of 2005, I should say.
Hmm.
Um, and then we ended up 2006 was our first full year. We started off just doing accounting and finance initially. That was what we had our initial offerings were.
Okay.
And then 2009, 2010, when the economy fell out, we realized that accounting and finance was not enough to sustain our business, and a narrow offering wasn't something that really was going to be able to work long term to get through those tougher times. So we offered a broader offering. We rebranded from Financial Search Associates to Professional Search Network in 2010.
Okay.
Um, and offering more than just accounting and finance. We offered HR, marketing, engineering, administrative, kind of name the key core offerings to our
Y-
clients.
Your whole career has been, I guess, I'm a dinosaur, but it's what we call contingent recruiting. Is that where you?
Yeah. So
Okay.
we have done some retained search, but a majority of our business is a contingency based business. Uh, we'll do retained search if it's a very niche role or C-level role. Usually it's with a client that understands the quality of our service and our broad network locally, that sees a value with partnering with us. So it really is the highest level of service that we provide. It becomes literally our top priority at our firm when we have a retained search.
Gain search.
Yeah,
Right. And that usually is for the top level executives in a
exactly.
company,
Makes
including CEO type search, right? You do
That's
you
right.
do that as well.
That's right. Yeah. So we have placed presidents, CEOs of some organizations. Usually they're mid-sized, smaller firm, 100 million, $58 million company, to kind of name a couple of them. Usually at our C level, we're talking about CFOs, VP level of different departments. So the CEOs, presidents, is something that we have done, but not as vast of a
Right.
skill set.
Okay. I know from my business and my clients, that one of the biggest um, challenges that companies have is trying to find the right people, trying to find good people.
Sure.
And I really spend a lot of time when I'm working with my clients and understanding their org chart and their structure, and who they've got on the bus and what seat they are on the bus, and then making sure they really select the right people. Can you talk for a minute about kind of how you do that, problem solving, adding value for your clients?
Sure. I mean, let's face it, a company is only as good as the people they have, right? So, I think that's one of the challenges that small business owners have is relinquishing, the control. But I think part of that comes into trust and having the right people in place to do that. And that's where you hear, $2 to $3 million companies kind of hit that ceiling. It really is having the right people in place and then giving them the autonomy to do their job, right? But kind of going back to your point, really what we do is try to understand the business first. It's not one size fits all, because maybe someone has a CFO title or a VP of HR title, right? So I
Mhm.
think industry is one thing that certainly is important, but also size of the business. So we just placed CFO of a $60 million company that looked very different than another client we had beginning of the year was a $500 million company. So that experience is so different that we're looking
Huge.
for. Yeah, big time. Yeah, it was that $500 million. It's a lot of delegating. It's a lot of strategic planning, almost as a COO as well as a CFO. Very operational strategy. Whereas that $60 million CFO, the next level down from him was an accounting manager. He didn't even have a controller. So that was a challenge for him. It was very hands-on, understanding he's gonna have to crunch the numbers at month-end close. And whereas the CFO of the $500 million company never even saw a month-end close. It was really done by the controller and the accounting manager. So like it's a different world altogether, right? So I think kind of answering your question, understanding the business, the environment, the size of the business, the industry, the inner workings, the internal controls, processes in general, and then understanding why is the position open and what are the key must-haves as far as when this person comes in, what's your goal for this person the first 90 days, the first 6 months, and certainly the first year? What would be your goal to see? So if it's a lot of policy, internal controls, policy writing for the department, is it more strategy? Once we understand kind of the pain points and the goals for the hire, it helps us back into finding the right person for the role.
Right. That's interesting. One of the things that I'm kind of focused on, and with my clients, is making sure they understand how to set objectives for their team. If they can't define what it is, that success is measured by this, right? If you can achieve this, that's what we need, and that's how we'll measure how somebody new. This is what we need. When they can't define that for somebody new coming into the organization, I mean, it's going to be hard for them to succeed, right? And
Candidly, Carl, like that's a great point. Like when we first started our business, right? So for example, Rich coming in, for the most part, walking into a structured company, they have policies, procedures in place. So it was his role to kind of roll them out and make sure that they're enforced, so to say. Once I kind of realized I had a knack for the business, I worked autonomously. I did it my style, my way. And well, when we opened our own doors and it was time to write policies, procedures, and internal controls, you know, we were naive to the fact that we had hired 9 people right away that we had worked with before, all of which had been in the business for 10 plus years. And we were naive to the fact that we said, okay, you guys know what to do. There's your desk, there's your phone, go get them.
right,
And, we definitely had our challenges.
sure,
We had some hires that didn't work out. And in hindsight, it was more our fault than it was theirs, quite frankly, and it was an expensive lesson to learn. But to your point, you would have had a field day with us when we first got started, especially, like we could have used a guy like you for sure,
well,
and
I
identify.
I I'm I'm bold enough to say everybody could use a business
Coach.
coach, but it's interesting that, you talk about that because I find business owners don't really consistently do an annual review with their employees. And that's an area that I work on with them. And then the annual review is really important, but what's more important than the annual review is when you do the annual review, you're doing a look back on how things went and how successful were you. And you're also doing and by the way, here's what we need you to achieve going forward. So the objective setting is even more important than the look back. And
Yeah.
if you don't kind of understand that, right, then how do you find the right person? When they come to you, they should be coming to you with like, oh, here's what we need. And I can tell you're helping them figure that out.
Yeah. No, I
To
it's
me, the good
100.
fit is this, not
Yeah.
somebody who's breathing, somebody who has these skills and can achieve these things. So,
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay,
and to your point, Carl, when we first started, we weren't doing annual reviews. Again, we were naive to the fact that you know what you're doing, and for us, the review was your production, your run rate of placements, your percentage to fill roles, and again, it was naive for us to think that way, and then we started implementing annual reviews. Now we do a quarterly review with each of us.
excellent.
Yeah.
Right. Well, one thing
Um,
I like that because look, quarterly, even with some companies that I'm coaching, it's even like we got to look at the numbers monthly.
yeah.
That's one thing. The people performance discussion should really, in my mind, this is a little bit different than just looking at the numbers, but it should be hey, we're going to do a halfway through the year touch base to see progress. How we doing? How we doing on the objectives we set, how we doing on performance so far. We're doing a full annual review to look back at the whole year, decide about compensation changes, and then set a plan for achievement for the next year.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, that was what we realized was okay, you'd have the conversation. We look back at what happened, but also, I feel more importantly, we were saying in our business, there's a reason that the rear view mirror is smaller than the windshield, right? It's looking out forward thinking and
Right.
and vision wise, right? But, for us, we realized some people, it takes 30 days to create a new habit or kick a bad one. And we realize that people fall back into complacency and how they've always done it, especially having veterans on our team. They kind of same old, same old. And you can't operate, especially these days, as our business and business world in general has evolved. You have to evolve with it. And if you're not challenging yourself, that complacency will kill you. And
Sure.
we realized people were falling into that trap. And I'd have the annual review. I'd look back and I said, wow, we just replicated the prior year. So now going quarterly, we identify and nip these things in the bud quicker than we would have by doing it quarterly.
Great. Is there a nugget or two of advice you'd give somebody who's operating one of these businesses when it comes to, hey, how do we expand? I mean, obviously they should call you to talk about helping helping find great candidates for those top level positions. But is there a nugget or two of information that says, hey, this is what you've got to do, right? That's like, I might say to somebody, you should always be looking, right?
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
kind of things would jump out at you and say, hey, business owners, think about this?
Yeah. Look, I would think the day and age of, look, let's look at the last 25 years, from email really
Yeah,
coming into the mainframe of business in, the turn of the century, right? In 2000, that was really when it first started to become more and more popular, to now AI. I think technology, sure, it is helped us in business be much more efficient in a lot of different ways. With that, nothing replaces human contact or relationship building. And I have seen businesses, even just jumping on a Zoom, for example, which one of our big initiatives is with our customers, as they suggest that I'll do one better. I'd like to meet you in person, shake your hand. A lot of times clients, first of all, will appreciate that. They think that, you know, it's kind of the thing to do as far as a meet is to get in front of a screen and talk rather than sitting down for a cup of coffee or, you know, breaking bread for lunch or dinner after work, to a huge initiative of ours. So I would say the biggest thing to truly grow your business, it's relationships, right? And with the exception of some professions, but I think most of it comes down to relationship and key centers of influence, making sure that you're building those relationships, but in a genuine way, not in a sales way.
no. I agree. My thing, and I'm always, if there's one simple piece of advice that I give to people, you need to talk to more people.
Very true,
Uh,
Carl.
you got to talk to more people. Cool.
It seems so simple, but it is very true.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes the simplest stuff is the hardest to do and it's the easiest to like let slide. But if you can talk to more people, more things can happen.
Yeah.
Good things can happen. Nothing happens if you're not doing anything.
Well, and I think too, a lot of change came out of to our business world in general from the pandemic. And as I sit here from my home office talking with you, I think a lot of people have gotten complacent working from home. And I think there's been pros and cons, but one of the biggest cons is they're not out and about mixing it
Right.
up with people from an office standpoint. I mean, knowing everyone in our corporate building was something that was common. I knew so at least multiple people from each business in the building. And now we go into our office and it's a ghost town. A lot of people are hybrid or remote, and there's less opportunity, I think, these days um to talk to more people, to your point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it needs to be more of a
Is there
deliberate
is
thing.
there I mean, this is maybe a good way to kind of bring this round, but is there you know maybe a trend or even a counter trend that you see in your industry? I mean, everybody's talking about AI and everybody's talking about how fast things are changing, but is there something that you think is really going to be a sea change for your industry?
Um, I mean, look, our business in general kind of for the most part trends with the job market, right, in the
Right.
overall economy. So I think some of it is policy, administrative policies, driven in general. But as I know, AI is the sexy answer to give these days, and it seems to be the boxed answer, but it very much is. I mean, you could see some of these large organizations, Amazon, I mean, some large organizations that are trimming workforce and being replaced by AI. I mean, just simple day to day checkout at every store we go to. It's tough sometimes to even find a live cashier. It's self checkout almost everywhere now.
Well, even
And
no checkout. Well,
we're right, yeah, yeah. And it was something that I used to shy away from. I used to always, well, I want a live person. I want to sit there and talk to them. I want them to scan it, and I don't want to have to scan it. Well, now it's kind of, the norm now, right? So,
right.
but our business in general, I mean, the way to identify more talent has become uh, easier and easier based on 20 years of building a database. For example, we're only New Jersey and this side of the river, for the most part, this side of the river, New York. So um we really try to, differentiator for us is we want it to be the go-to local recruiting firm that can boast. There's no one that has a stronger local network than we do. So by doing that, though, as we've populated this, now it's making the matches. I could have the best candidates locally available in our database, but if we're not connecting the dots and putting them in front of our clients or reaching out to them to present the opportunity,
For sure.
then that's a problem. So for us, we have different AI technologies that we've brought into the company, from our overall our CRM to some additional tools that have helped sniff out and make those matches for us.
Cool. A lot of great tools. Wow. I don't know about you, but for me, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd call. I appreciate it. I love talking about the business, and I know you have a wealth of knowledge in all different types of industries. So this has been cool to kind of be able to share a little bit about what we do and what we're seeing from our industry standpoint.
Great. What's the best way for people to reach out to you? Should they email you and try to connect up with you? You got a good presence on LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn, I would say, is the easiest. Jason Lyons, and we're professional search network out of New Jersey. So anyone ever needs any looking for the next opportunity, even passively looking, great way to is just to connect with me there. And certainly looking for any quality staff, from a direct hire permanent placement to some consulting project, or some temporary help that they might be looking for. Be happy to help anyone that may need it.
Excellent. Great. Thanks very much. Thanks for your time. I hope we get to do this again sometime soon.
Thank you so much, Carl. Best of luck to you.
Thanks.